Picture this. A brand raises prices again, the stores look busier than ever, and yet the people who used to dream about buying in are quietly walking away. So what's really happening? Are luxury brands getting smarter, or are they burning the bridge to their future customers? In this video, we're counting down 15 ways luxury may be pricing out the next generation, why it's happening right now, and what it means for your wallet and your status anxiety. Number 15. Let's start with the most obvious move, the price ladder getting pulled up. For years, luxury brands had a quiet agreement with their audience. You might not afford the top items, but you could still enter the world with something smaller. A card holder, a fragrance, a belt, a lipstick, a keychain. Those entry points weren't just products, they were a relationship starter. They let younger shoppers feel included, learn the brand's style, and build loyalty over time. But when the entry price keeps jumping, the emotional deal breaks. If your first step into luxury feels like a financial stunt instead of a treat, you don't feel welcomed, you feel tested. And if you fail the test, you don't necessarily save up harder. You might decide the whole game is not for you. Number 14. Aspirational customers are being treated like a problem, not a future. There's a shift in how some luxury houses talk, act, and design. They're chasing the already wealthy more aggressively, and they're trying to make it uncomfortable for everyone else. The logic is simple. If too many people can buy it, it stops feeling rare. So the brand becomes less about delight and more about distance. The problem is that today's younger shoppers are extremely sensitive to vibes. They can smell when they're being used as free marketing but not truly respected. They'll admire from a distance for a while, but admiration doesn't always convert into purchases later, especially if you've spent years making them feel like the wrong kind of customer. Number 13. The luxury uniform is changing, and it's leaving people behind. In the past, you could signal luxury with visible logos and recognizable shapes. Now we're in a moment where a lot of high-status fashion is quieter, subtler, and more expensive in ways that are harder to justify. Instead of buying one loud piece, the new signal might be an entire look. Perfect tailoring, premium basics, a certain kind of fabric, shoes that cost a month of rent, and the confidence to wear it like it's nothing. That kind of luxury is less like buying an item and more like buying a lifestyle, one that requires money, time, and access. If you're younger and juggling rising rent, student loans, or just everyday costs, the new luxury look can feel like a private club with a dress code you can't afford. Number 12. The resale market is both saving and sabotaging luxury at the same time. Resale makes luxury feel more reachable. You can buy pre-owned, you can hunt for deals, you can treat it like a smart investment instead of a splurge. But resale also exposes uncomfortable truths. It shows which items hold value and which ones crash. It shows how much hype is manufactured. And it teaches new shoppers to wait, to buy secondhand, or to avoid buying new entirely. If a younger buyer learns early that they can get the same vibe for less by waiting, they might never build the habit of buying direct from the brand. And if brands respond by raising prices even more to protect exclusivity, they can accidentally push their future customers deeper into resale, not closer to the boutique. Number 11. Limited drops create urgency, but they also create exhaustion. Scarcity used to be natural. Craftsmanship takes time, rare materials are rare, and supply truly can't meet demand. Now scarcity is often a strategy. Fewer units, controlled distribution, waiting lists, surprise restocks, exclusive access, and heavy social media teasing. It can feel thrilling at first, like you're hunting treasure. But over time, it trains people to feel anxious and powerless. Younger shoppers especially are starting to question whether they want their money tied to stress. If the buying experience feels like competing, begging, or gambling, the brand might win a short-term sale, but it can lose long-term love. Number 10. The cost story doesn't land the way it used to. Brands often imply that higher prices reflect higher costs, better materials, better labor, better quality. Sometimes that's true. But consumers today have more information, more comparisons, and more skepticism. They see product reviews, they see stitching close-ups. They see factory documentaries, they see lawsuits and scandals. They see the gap between marketing language and real-world durability. When prices jump faster than perceived quality, people don't think, "This must be exquisite." They think, "This must be a strategy." And strategies can be copied, mocked, and avoided. Number 9. Younger shoppers are less impressed by because it's expensive. Older luxury culture had a strong, "that's just how it is" energy. You didn't question, you just aspired. But younger buyers grew up in a world that constantly asks, "What are you paying for?" They question everything: subscriptions, service fees, airline pricing, housing costs, hidden charges. That skepticism carries over to luxury. If a brand can't explain value beyond status, the brand is asking the customer to worship, not to buy. And worship is fragile. The moment the customer feels disrespected, they don't just stop purchasing, they become a critic. Number 8. Luxury is colliding with a new kind of financial reality. Even people with decent incomes feel squeezed: housing, groceries, insurance, and just the general cost of existing. When the baseline cost of life rises, discretionary spending changes. People still want nice things, but they get pickier. They start asking, "Is this worth it compared to travel? Compared to savings? Compared to paying down debt?" Luxury used to be the special thing. Now for many, luxury is competing with basic stability. And if stability feels shaky, status buys feel risky. A brand can't price as if the customer's life is calm when the customer's life is loud. Number 7. The entry product that used to build loyalty is being replaced by the entry flex that builds resentment. Some brands lean hard into tiny items with big prices: miniature bags, small accessories, basic designs with premium tags. The idea is to keep the logo visible while keeping production costs manageable. But customers aren't blind. If the entry option feels like paying top dollar for a small piece of identity, it can feel insulting. That's when people start looking for alternatives: high-quality non-luxury brands, vintage, custom pieces, or simply opting out. And when someone opts out emotionally, winning them back later is much harder than keeping them gently engaged now. Number 6. Luxury's biggest competition is no longer other luxury, it's "I don't need it." Minimalism, wellness culture, and financial literacy content are shaping the way younger people see consumption. There's more talk about saving, investing, and reducing clutter. There's more pride in being calm, not flashy. Luxury can still fit into that world, but it has to earn its place. If luxury feels like a tax on insecurity, people will reject it to protect their peace. And if a brand's main promise is, "You'll feel important," but the customer is trying to feel grounded, the promise doesn't hit. Number 5. Now we get into the brand-level examples because this is where the story gets real. Chanel has become one of the clearest symbols of luxury inflation in the public imagination, with frequent price increases that have turned certain iconic items into almost mythic purchases. When you watch something go from "maybe one day" to "that's a down payment," it changes the emotional relationship. You don't just feel priced out, you feel like time itself betrayed you. The danger for any brand in this position is that younger shoppers may stop seeing the brand as a dream and start seeing it as a flex for someone else's world. They might still admire the craftsmanship and the history, but admiration without access can turn into distance, and distance can turn into indifference. Number 4. Louis Vuitton sits in a unique spot because it's both luxury and massively recognizable, which means it's always balancing popular and prestige. When prices rise while visibility stays high, the question becomes, what are people paying extra for? If everyone can spot the signature patterns from across the street, the brand's main job is to keep that recognition feeling special, not common. But if the price keeps climbing and the product still feels everywhere, on the street, online, in memes, the younger customer starts doing mental math. Why am I paying premium prices for something that no longer feels rare? When that question spreads, it doesn't kill a brand overnight, but it can slowly change who buys new versus who buys secondhand versus who stops caring altogether. Number 3. Gucci is a perfect case study in how fast fashion cycles and luxury cycles are starting to overlap. When a brand becomes a cultural wave, suddenly on everyone, in every music video, all over social media, it can feel unstoppable. But waves crash. If younger shoppers watched the brand become the look and then watched it become yesterday's look, they learn a lesson. Hype is temporary, but prices are permanent. That makes them cautious. They start asking whether buying luxury at peak hype is actually the worst time to buy. And once a customer starts thinking like that, they're not just a buyer anymore, they're a strategist. Brands love passionate fans, but strategists don't panic buy. They wait. Number 2. Hermès represents the extreme end of the exclusivity model. Scarcity, gatekeeping, and a buying journey that can feel like a maze. Some people love that because it turns shopping into a status test, and passing the test feels like winning. But for a huge slice of younger consumers, the idea of spending money while also feeling judged is not appealing. It's humiliating. Even if they could afford it, they might not want to participate. Here's the bigger risk. When the most exclusive brand becomes the symbol of the entire category, it can make luxury as a whole look like a set of hoops designed to control people. That perception can spread beyond one label and feed a broader, "I'm not playing that game" mood, especially among younger audiences who value transparency and autonomy. Number 1. The biggest reason luxury might be pricing out its future customers is the simplest one. Luxury is trying to grow while pretending it's not. These companies have big goals. Investors want revenue, stores want traffic, marketing wants cultural relevance. But true exclusivity doesn't scale easily, so the industry often tries to do both: raise prices to feel elite and expand reach to keep growing. That tension creates weird outcomes. Products that feel less special but cost more, marketing that feels louder but claims quiet sophistication, and experiences that promise timeless quality while pushing constant urgency. The future customer sees the contradiction. They see luxury trying to be a dream and a machine at the same time. And when they sense a machine, they start protecting themselves. They buy less, they buy later, they buy secondhand, they buy alternatives, or they buy nothing at all. Prada can still win younger customers when it leans into creativity and substance over pure status. But the moment any brand starts relying on, "You should want this because we said so," it risks losing the next generation's trust. And trust is the real currency now. When younger shoppers feel respected, they'll spend, maybe not impulsively, but intentionally. When they feel manipulated, they'll walk away. And they won't just walk away quietly, they'll tell their friends why. Dior shows how powerful storytelling can be in luxury because people don't just buy materials, they buy meaning, tradition, and identity. But storytelling has to match reality. If the narrative says craftsmanship, heritage, artistry, and the customer experience says crowded stores, constant price jumps, and a feeling of being rushed, the story stops working. And if the story stops working, the price feels even louder. Burberry reminds us that luxury brands can drift when they don't know whether they're chasing prestige or chasing mass appeal, and customers can feel that confusion. Younger buyers are open to changing their minds, but they want clarity. What does this brand stand for, and why is it worth the money? When the answer is fuzzy, the purchase becomes harder to justify. Balenciaga is proof that controversy can create attention, and attention can translate into sales, but attention also comes with fatigue. Younger shoppers can be drawn to boldness, but they also have strong boundaries. If a brand becomes known more for shock than for product value, the customer eventually asks, "Am I paying for design, or am I paying to be part of a conversation I don't even like?" Cartier benefits from the idea of forever pieces, where the product category itself suggests longevity and meaning, and that can still appeal to younger buyers who want something lasting. But even in categories that feel timeless, the price-to-value conversation matters, because younger consumers compare everything: quality, durability, resale, and the emotional experience of buying. Rolex sits at the intersection of luxury and scarcity in a way that shaped modern hype culture, and it's taught consumers that hard to get can equal worth more. But it also taught them that markets can be manipulated, that waiting lists can be politics, and that some luxury buying is basically a sport. A lot of younger people are deciding they don't want a sport. They want a product. Ferrari is a reminder that in the ultra-high end, the customer base is so wealthy that pricing out future customers seems impossible, because there will always be another billionaire. But cultural relevance still matters. Even if only a few can buy, many must admire for the brand to feel legendary. If the admiration fades because the brand feels disconnected from the times, the long-term aura can weaken, and aura is the invisible engine behind luxury. Tiffany shows how much a brand's identity can shift depending on ownership, marketing, and product direction. And it highlights a key point. Younger buyers want tradition and modernity at the same time. They want to feel like they're buying into history, but they don't want to feel like they're buying into an old idea of who luxury is for. If the brand makes them feel included, they can become loyal for decades. If the brand makes them feel like outsiders, they'll find a different symbol for their milestones. Now, put all of this together, and the big picture is surprisingly simple. Luxury is not just selling products anymore, it's selling a story about who you are, and stories only work when the audience can see themselves in them. When prices rise faster than wages, when the buying experience feels more stressful than special, and when brands chase status so hard that they forget connection, they risk losing the very people who would have grown with them. And here's the part that matters for you. You don't have to let any of this mess with your self-worth. If you love luxury, love it for the craft, the design, the art, and the joy, not because a price tag is trying to tell you who you are. Watch the patterns, repeated price jumps, manufactured scarcity, entry points disappearing, and the emotional pressure to keep up. The moment you can name the strategy, it loses power over you. And when you shop from a calm place, whether that means buying one item you truly love, buying secondhand, choosing a high-quality non-luxury option, or skipping the whole thing, you win back the one thing luxury can't sell you: peace. Thank you for watching.